Hi. Welcome to She Speaks Bravo. I'm Emily, and today is a Southern Charm Day, but it's difficult, you guys. I know it seems like this would be something that I am happy about, but the tea continues to flow to me. I know so much insider information about this show. I know if you tuned in last week, you already know that I know things, but it's still flowing through. Not even I have multiple different sources at this point, but it is going to make for an interesting recap. I will never be able to reveal all, but I can round out some things. Anyway, before we get into all that, if you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am Emily. Did I already do that? I'm Emily. And do consider subscribing. I do 3 recaps a week. I'm doing Atlanta, I'm doing Southern Charm, and I'm also doing Beverly Hills. If you're already subscribed, love ya, mean it. All right, guys, let's get into it after the intro. My name is Emily, and I have been watching Bravo TV as a form of self-care for over a decade. Needless to say, I'm a complete mess. Subscribe and follow along for painfully insightful recaps about Bravo, true crime, and other great TV. Hit that bell. All right, guys. Southern Charm. Southern Charm solo recap today. I continue to hold on to so much tea about this show. I'm going to say, okay, here's a couple things I'm going to say that are good general things I can say. First of all, if you haven't already listened to the episode, you know what? I'm actually going to write in my show notes so I don't forget, because I keep forgetting to add this when it comes time to film. 1 second. I'm going to do it right now. Okay. I'm going to include the links to the podcast episodes that have opened my eyes to a lot of the editing that goes into these shows. I talked about it a few times, either on this week. Yeah, I could talk about it on this Southern Charm recap last week with Pia. The executive producer, the EP episode of the podcast Reality Bites was eye-opening when they talked about the amount of edits that go into. They were talking about the reunion edits, but I'm sure that's for all episodes of every show. And it's like 5 rounds of edits, and it goes, like the original edit, but then it goes to the network, and the network does, I want to say like 3 rounds. I'm just paraphrasing, but I liken it to, if anyone's ever worked in a corporate job. So like I worked in restaurants, right? So I worked at a big company called Soho House. I'm sure you've heard of it, or maybe you haven't. Soho House is a global company, but it's a members only company, very exclusive, very hot. Like the brand image is very important. But when you're just the manager day to day and you're running operations day to day, you have a different feel of how to make things work and flow, right? Like, what's really needed. Like, you need things that are like less sexy, right? Like, you need more forks and more spoons and more share plates. But then when the big guys come in, like the corporate office guys come in, they see things from a very removed angle, and they'll say some bullshit to you in the middle of a busy shift. Like, we should really start doing like a tea time service. And you're like, well, okay, what? Okay, at 4:00, we want you to set up some display of pastries and set out little treats and little side plates and here's a display we want you to emulate. Well, okay, well, who's going to set that up? I don't know, figure it out. Well, we're already short staffed because you want to cut staff and money, basically. And I'm the only manager on the floor because you're also cutting budget on managers. And so what we really need are this. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. They're very detached from what's really happening. Now, granted, that was completely separate from production. But just to kind of give you an idea of how like liken it to that out of touch corporate person. They weren't there for filming. They're just going to get this footage, right? And they have an idea of what the story should look like. So my imagination, well, sure. I imagine that they're not as attached to the real people as obviously the real people and production, because they were there and they get to know them. They do the interviews. Like, you know, it's no surprise that like the production crew on Vanderpump Rules, after all those years, got close with them. Their Summer House. The Summer House cast is constantly posting sweet things about the crew because, I mean, how do you not get close to them? Producers' jobs are to like, they have to have trust in them because they're going to get something out of, they have to trust that they're going to be handled properly, right? In order to share. So when like a network gets the footage, they're like, I think I'd rather it be told a little bit this way. Like the footage is there, but let's edit it to be more like this, where it's not lying, but it's probably just slightly, that's why there's so many damn flashbacks. I'm convinced of it. We don't need that many flashbacks. We know we don't need you to go back. We don't, like, as soon as you see that, because I do a lot of editing of the content, obviously, of like clips. And as soon as you see that, like, whoosh, and it's going to go do a flashback, I'm like, no, we know, we don't need you to flashback. Okay. We know. Okay. Okay. So as I was saying, sorry, hold on one second. Getting a notification. Okay. So something I have realized about the final cuts that we get as viewers, like the final episode, is that there is a little bit of manipulation. Not to say we're blaming editing, but kind of. Obviously, if there's a full sentence that comes out of someone's mouth, that's not editing. But like it happened on Atlanta when Candy, I talked about it when I recapped with Kendrick. Candy said that they edited out a bunch of stuff Marlo said about Brooklyn. Well, now that's a big deal. Now, why did they do that? Doesn't that really change the whole tone of that whole moment? They had a reason for it, right? They were like, no, we need to kind of keep this like more geared towards Kenya being the bad guy. So what I'm gathering is they're cutting this together to look a certain way. I'll get more into it as we go through it, but it's something to do with the information I got about the garden party and Madison, Vanita, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like just the dynamics of everything and what was really kind of going on and how it was all pieced together. And I'm like, okay, I kind of see what's happening, sort of. The network is looking at it from back here. They have an idea of what they want, the story they want to tell, how they want to tell it. It's bummed me out to have this realization. I think we've all collectively talked about this from some time or another about how we don't love that they do that. We don't like that they take things out that are vital, that would change our minds, you know? It's like, let me make that decision. Don't completely omit something, or they can't add anything in necessarily, but don't purposely take something out that would 100% affect my opinion, you know? So now I'll get into the recap, but bear in mind the things that I know that I cannot tell, but the things that I know. Okay. All right. So it's the next morning, and I love how men, because I've dated a lot of borderline alcoholics, after a bender and being an asshole, the next day you're like, how are you feeling? They're like, great, good. So Austen calls Craig and be like, how are you feeling today? Good. And they do like the flashback of them doing shots. Oh my God, I have a hangover just looking at it. And so Shep calls Taylor, and Shep really just, it's like, I get it. You're annoyed at Taylor for constantly nagging you and not trusting you and whatever. But do you really need to call her and be like, we were with so many girls last night? Ugh. And she's like, good. Good. It's like, okay, so you actually were talking to girls, you fucker. But do you really need to like test her and poke at her like that? The fuck? And he's like, all right, we're going to go to Austin's family and help him like raid the house for furniture. And Taylor goes, get a new couch. Isn't it funny that Shep has so much money and lives like a college student with like hand-me-down furniture? Austen too. Austen, I mean, these guys make good money on the show and they still act like they can't afford anything. And so on their way to Austin's parents' house, Shep hates egg salad. I don't know why this was really funny. He's like, if your mom is making egg salad, we need to figure that out right now. And of course, Austin's sweet mother has got this, like, she's like, I got the turkey sandwich stuff. I got the bread. And then I made an egg salad. Of course, Shep doesn't. Shep is just a picky little fucker. And then they get to Austin's house. And they really give Austin a moment. My goodness. This went on forever. I mean, they go away and they come back. They read from Austin's poetry book. Shep really liked it. Shep actually was touched by it. As much as he was teasing him, I could tell Shep was like, can I have it? Because he's like, please put this in your house so I can read it later. Then we get the Vanita scene. So Vanita's going to call Olivia. And so so Olivia does seem open. I don't sense any resistance from Olivia. That's nice. I don't like Olivia's not like, hi, or there's no bitchiness. I don't sense that. But then while Vanita's on the phone, she's like, oh, hold on, Madison's calling me. So she switches over and she goes, hey, I'm actually on the phone with Olivia. And Madison goes, all right, well, give me a call after that. Switches over and Olivia goes, well, so you clearly know that I'm not inviting you. Vanita's like, what? And okay. I'm seeing a lot of stuff online about this. A lot of accounts are saying like, so you didn't feel comfortable inviting Vanita, but you felt comfortable inviting Madison. Make that make sense. And I feel like I'm being stupid and I'm missing something. And it is quite possible that I am, because sometimes I don't put two and two together well. I've admitted this many times. But Madison invited Olivia to the garden party. And Vanita told Olivia basically point blank that she didn't want her to have been invited. So wouldn't it make sense kind of then for Olivia to invite Madison as like a return favor? It's possible I'm missing something. And also as like a strategy, because Madison is someone she could potentially have a feud with due to the Austen factor. And so if Madison's going to invite Olivia to something, that's sending a message of, I'm going to be cool with you. And so it would be a message to Madison if she's like, well, I'm not going to be cool with you. I kind of understand this. Is that wrong? Do I necessarily like Olivia? No, because she's everything I am not. She's naturally thin. She's got rich parents. She's got great hair that's like probably really easy to do. I don't know how she gets it wavy like that. It's really annoying. And I don't know, other things, just other things. I don't know. She's annoying because life seems to have come very like easy to her. All right. But in this one, I understand it. Another thing I've learned. Okay, I feel like I'm giving you guys a homework assignment. You have to listen to those. It's a 2-parter. I'm gonna link both episodes to the EP Reality Bites podcast episodes because they talk about like scheduling, and I kind of have a feeling that the reason why they didn't do a Vanita Olivia sit down prior to this party was simple like scheduling situations, because like you'd want to have that on camera. Would I have preferred Olivia invite Vanita? Yeah. Just fucking invite her. Just invite her and let her be there. Let it be awkward. You know you're inviting Madison with the Austen factor. So yes, she should. Oh, wait. Am I now understanding why people are saying that? See? I take a while. Sometimes it's right in front of me. But Olivia is going to end up getting hers anyway for this decision. So it's kind of, I'm going to move on from this because they seem to like the decision in the editing was we're going to tackle this a little bit in the beginning of the episode, and then we're going to move right along and we'll deal with that next week. So they made that choice. All right, back to Austen's house. We're still there and they're moving and they're packing up, and Shep is so irritated. Shep is like, again, what are we doing here that you couldn't have hired movers for? Why am I like physically removing furniture from this house? And it's sweet. It's a lot of coverage of this. So they wanted Austen to have it. They wanted this moment. His parents are very sweet. His mom is incredibly kind. So is his dad. So it's not like we're watching a bunch of jerks. So we're not upset, but this was a lot. And okay, guys, Shep with his nieces. I kind of hate to say it, but this was pretty cute, but cute, not cute because I'm like, oh, he should have kids. Cute because I'm like, look at him being a cute uncle. That's a thing. Uncles are dope. I'm going to a concert tonight with my uncle. I love my Uncle Michael. He's the best. Uncles are awesome, and they play a vital role in a child's life. So nothing wrong with that. This doesn't make me like bummed he doesn't have a kid. But when Taylor goes over to Olivia's, she's like, he doesn't want kids, but like everyone in his family has kids. So what's wrong with him? I don't like that. Nothing's wrong with him. It's just he doesn't match your needs. And I'm sorry, but I recall you going into this not saying a word about your needs. So let's not hate on him for this. Just you've heard it from his mouth. Get out already. You've heard it from his mouth. He has said, I don't see myself up with a baby, taking care of a baby. He said it. So. And Shep takes him to get ice cream, and he grabs one of the spoons that's in the used spoons, and they give him so much shit. And he's actually like, he gets like mad at them, which is funny. And they sit outside, and he talks about how he said, one of the teacher comments I got was, Shep thinks he can get through 4th grade with charm alone. And one of his nieces just gives him hell. He goes, hey, I'm not perfect. And she goes, is that your excuse for everything? And it is. I remember one of the other like toxic thing, my friend's ex-boyfriend would always be like, at least I'm not on the side of the road digging ditches. What? That's not an option for me. So what the fuck are you even referencing that for? Idiot. So back to Taylor and Olivia. When Olivia said this line, Taylor said this line, Taylor goes, Shep makes me happy. At this point, does he? At this point, I don't like there hits a point in a relationship where it's just the familiarity and also the habit, which is so difficult to break. Like you always are in communication with them. You are with them all the time. When you imagine that being severed, it's hard. That separation anxiety is hard. But she says our trust was breached. And I guess that they had seen the girl recently that the stairwell incident that was referenced at the last reunion. And Taylor's in her confessional. Oh my God, Taylor's confessional. She has like a black strappy spaghetti strap, like sequin ball gown in this confessional. And she's so stoic. And she says, I'm not a jealous person, but if you do something to cross me, well, I'm like, all right, girl. She also says if something like that happened again, I would be out. I would slowly walk away and I feel bad for him. And that is, that's so much easier said than done. We can talk such a big game, I would be done. I would be fucking out of there. Okay. I wouldn't even fucking stand for that. Okay. I'd be, but then she's basically getting, she's had that option quite a few times. We saw it in this episode. So as much as she doesn't have proof, she's got her gut instinct, her feeling, and he's gaslighting her into thinking that she's crazy. It's not happening. You're crazy. So, okay, now they're all getting ready for the party. Did you guys catch? I'm sure you did. Shep and Olivia. I keep calling her Olivia. Shep and Taylor. Oh my goodness. I literally wrote Olivia. Shep and Taylor are getting ready, and they're getting ready in their matching lemon outfits. And Shep calls her a lemon because it's like a car you want to turn in because it's like broke down and horrible. She goes, I thought you were going to say because you want to squeeze me. Yeah, that would have been better. God. But Olivia's parents are, they're like they're almost not real people. The way she's getting ready and that is privilege at its finest. I guess I can't hate on it. It's not their fault, or is it? I don't know. But that's a privileged life, and I am jealous. No idea what that feels like. That life just looks real easy for Olivia. She's like, my mom just throws parties for everything, and she's good at it and effortless and blah, blah, blah. They gave us a quick flash to Vanita, who's not getting ready for the party, which is sad. And then we have Catherine and Caleb riding to the party together. And Catherine's like, yep, Caleb and I are back together. And they flash back to them at dinner. And he's like, I want to come home. And he goes like, he like bites towards her and ew, stop it. Okay. But then she goes, basically, there are slim pickings in Charleston. Whoo, girl. Girl. That's, I've heard that. I've heard that it's hard to find a guy that's just not a total dirtbag from multiple sources. I have quite a few followers that live there, and they're like, no, it's just the men here. But wow. I don't get the feeling that she would ever. Oh, also, wait, I learned something. Ooh, I learned something that we all need to know. because I didn't know this, and we need to know it. Catherine actually started dating Caleb before the incident where she was in the DM, the very problematic DM situation from last year or last season. She had already started dating Caleb prior to that. But because all that happened, she could never come out and like clarify that without it just wouldn't sound right. It would sound like. So I did find that out, and that actually it does make me then believe that she's there. We're looking at the tail end of their relationship, and he's using her for the show, and she's hoping that they can actually have a, because remember she said at one point in her confessional, she said, this is the first relationship that actually followed the normal steps, as opposed to like with Thomas, where she's like, I got pregnant and then I moved in and then it was like all over the place. So I kind of feel like she's hoping that she's just holding on for dear life. And I was right about him. I was right. We'll get into that in a second, though. Meanwhile, Marcy arrives pregnant as hell with her man, John, her husband, and she's already upset. She's like, yeah, when we walked in, they're like, do you want an oyster shot or do you want a cocktail? And I can't have either. So no, this poor woman. This poor woman. The men have arrived, and we've got Austen in pink pants, Shep in a lemon outfit, and Craig in a sweater over the shoulder look. Well, I'm actually not mad at them wearing outfits, not upset. Here we go, though. Guess who shows up? Guess who we finally get to see? Leva's husband, Lamar. I would like to point out something. I've noticed this before. We never see Lamar ever on the show. That's number one. But we never see him on her Instagram. Never. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Like, not with her son. Never. I've had a few people that live in Charleston reach out with some tea about him. And rather than announce that tea, if you've heard this tea, please go to the Facebook group. And I link it all the time, but it's going to be in the description, the link to the Facebook group. Head over to the Facebook group, share what you've heard, because I've heard a few things about him. Because I find it bizarre. I find it crazy that we don't ever see him. He's her business partner too. Like they have restaurants together. So, and I'm also upset that what episode are we on? Episode 5, episode 4? We have not seen one personal life Leva moment. She's a full-time cast member. We've seen Craig, we've seen Austen, we've seen Shep, we've seen Naomi, we've seen Vanita. Who are we missing? Madison's on a full-time cast. We've seen Catherine. We've seen Caleb. And she's got a spinoff. I'm irritated. I've also heard the YouTube account, Real Andy of Beverly Hills, posted a video. I don't even know if it's still up, but he posted a video right around the time that they filmed the finale, and a bunch of accounts saw that Leva unfollowed basically the entire cast except for Naomi. I posted about it, and Real Andy commented and said, go to my YouTube channel and look at the video I posted about it. And he had a whole version of events. He's got some source. I'll see if I can find it on his page, but you can maybe go digging around. Leva may not be, I'm just bummed to say this, but she may not be the hero we thought she was. We'll talk about it in the Facebook group. We'll take it to the group. Okay. That's what the group is for. So moving on for now, because I got another bone to pick with her later. Pringle is upset he didn't get invited to Charlotte. Now, are you guys noticing we don't see much Pringle? I said this last, I don't know if I even did I cover Southern Charm? I don't think I did. Pringle has a darkness to him. And I know everyone thinks he's like this lovable guy, but Pringle had some moments last season where I was like, ooh, you know what it is? I used to date alcoholics, and he looks like someone that goes to a dark place when he drinks. And Madison said something to him at the reunion last season. And if I can pull the clip, I'll add it in, but I may forget. But she said something like, don't you remember saying to me that you'd marry me? And he's like, what?
He told me 3 days ago that he was falling for me.
It took us a while. I mean, he
told you 3 days ago.
Remember when we talked on the phone,
Pringle, you would sleep with her tonight if she came to your room. No offense, I will call you trash all day, but not in this example.
That's
but
not
if
true.
she came to your room, you would sleep with her.
No, I mean, hey, I'm sorry. This means too much to me.
Well, a week ago, he did not say that.
What?
Yes.
I could tell he had no idea what she was talking about. And she went, I'll tell you later. And I know it's a tiny moment, but it stuck out to me because I was like, well, I bet this is the guy that becomes a different person when he drinks, blacks out. And they were at a bar one time too. And the guys had just arrived and Pringle was already wasted. And Craig said something like, is he already wasted? And they're like, yeah. And he was kind of embarrassing them. So I think the guys, Craig has sort of mentioned a few times that he doesn't love being around Pringle. Pringle is not, I don't think Pringle's a full-time cast member. I can't remember. I don't think he is. But Pringle, I feel like he wasn't. And Austen just goes, yeah, no, you weren't invited. And here we go. Madison arrives in all denim, and Austen and Catherine are at the bar. And this is the start of Austen's. Look, I know he's horrible, but I find his bullshit so entertaining. Like, okay, hold on. I'm going to pull up, hold on. I'm going to pull up just how like petty he was. The sound effects, like.
Okay, well, I'm going to get this drink and make my exit. Thank you.
Okay, so weird.
Okay. Thank you.
Don't make it awkward.
I know. What happened?
He just grabs his drink and goes, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go. He just grabs his drink. And then isn't it, why is Madison here after all the shit I've said to Olivia? And then he goes, you're not going to be friends with my ex. This is, it's such a shift because he was so cool with her at Naomi's house. And then I get it. The engagement part like killed him because she just announced it and she didn't say anything to him. And so that was like wow, that was the big fuck you. And on top of that, in her live, she said, when someone asked, like, has an ex congratulated you? She said, well, the only ex I care about is my son's father. So she shaded on top of shade. And that is just the beginning. That is just the beginning. Whitney, Naomi, and Pat arrive, and Catherine throws some really funny shade. She's like, I think Naomi is just happy as a clam bitch. But I did like her hat. And her nose looks fine. And she's got a great tan all the time, and I don't. Fair. And Craig is talking to Madison at one point, like seemingly cool. I think he congratulates her. But then he'll rile Austen up a little bit later. But so Naomi's talking to Austen and he's just going off about Madison, be like, why is she here? Okay, why is she here? And Naomi gets like, but at my house, you were cool. And let me play that soundbite. Hold on. Sorry, I was not as prepared as I should have been.
And she shouldn't be here anyways.
Like at my house, y'all were cool.
Yeah, well, yeah.
One more time.
And she shouldn't be here anyways.
Like at my house, y'all were cool.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's so stupid. And so, yeah, well, yeah. Sorry. He's so stupid. And then later he's over at the bar with Craig Pringle and Catherine and Marcy, and they're just like, why don't you just go up to her and congratulate her on her engagement? But Craig's like, has she ever apologized for all the shit she's done to you? Like, Craig, that he's doing his job. And meanwhile, Olivia is with Madison by the pool. And Madison says, I know you uninvited Benita. And Olivia's like, well, I never technically invited her, just so she just wasn't ever invited. And Olivia's reasoning is because I wasn't comfortable at the garden party. And so I knew that she wouldn't be comfortable here. And Leva co-signs this. Leva's like, well, you don't have a really big, long history by any means. So there's still a chance to repair it, which there is. There 100% is. This is just one event at the end of the day. And she is about to get her own karmic comeuppance because Austen is not going to let her off the hook. So Pringle brings shots to the girls. Craig and Austen go and shotgun a beer. And this is where you're like, yes, reality television at its finest. Get them real fucked up and let's see what happens, motherfuckers. Let's do this. So Austen pulls Olivia aside. First he goes, are you leaving? I'm like, what? It's her parents. What are you talking about? And so he's like, okay. So I'm like, watching you guys. Okay, hold on.
I'm sitting here watching the five of y'all like, oh my God. I was like, oh my gosh.
Sorry. I mean, he is so fucking rude. So rude. Olivia looks stunned too. She's just like almost pressed up against the door, like mouth agape, shocked that he's being so wild. And he goes, no one that I'm interested in will be friends with her. And she says, I am waiting for the day for her to be less present in our conversation. And they flash back to their date of him talking and talking and talking about Madison, which is crazy. Crazy. And once again, Olivia's really level-headed in her confessional about Austen. Like, she kind of has the fuckboy formula figured out. She goes, so he just got done telling me to take things slow. And now he's telling me who not to invite to my party. No. Damn, girl. I'll tell you what, that's impressive. I don't know what that's like, because I certainly don't have. When I started catching feelings for someone, I'm a mess. All logic and all respect for myself goes out the window. Okay. 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 Austen, when he's talking to Craig, guys, when he's talking to Craig down up against some fence, I had to rewind it because I couldn't believe how mad he was at Olivia. He's like, fucking Olivia's driving me fucking crazy. She's like, hey guys, let's just force to pretend everything is okay. It's like, you're really that mad at her? How do you not see that she might? Don't you know that she went to he was okay with her going to the garden party. In fact, he texted her, you and Catherine can take the mean girls down. Like, he was so okay with her going to that party. So all right, enough of that, because now we got to move on to my favorite segment of this podcast, which is I told you so. I told you. Okay. I fucking told you. Caleb. He says hi to Naomi, but he starts it off with something real awkward, in my opinion. The way he says to her, he's like, something came up on my phone from like 5 or 6 years ago when I was at your house for a party. And she's like, yeah. She's like, I've known you for a while. He's like, yeah. It was just weird the way he reminded her of that. It felt very inauthentic. And I know that it's like a small town. So it's like it's not like they've all been really close. It's like they've just known each other from partying with the same people. So it was bizarre. And so then he goes to his confessional and he says, I've known Naomi longer than I've known Catherine. But Catherine has a problem with her. And being that I'm her man, I have to have a problem with her too. So the people that she's mad at, I have to stay away from. That's how she rolls. But she has a problem with so many people. It's hard to stay away from everybody. Okay. To me, that's throwing her under the bus again. Like, you didn't need to go out of your way to go say hi to her, just like you went out of your way to go talk to Vanita at her party. So Naomi asks how they're doing. And mind you, this is editing. Like, so they've edited things together. So I'm sure there was even more to this. It felt like they were kind of cutting some things out. So he says, she got deeper than I am. I'm a simple person. My friends, we don't do the drama thing. So when she comes home and does her thing, I mean, I turn on ESPN and tune her out. Being with her is just, I don't know. What the fuck are you doing? When I was watching this, I was like, why are you telling Naomi this? And so I know that they want it to look like Naomi because she's, feuding with Catherine. I know they want it to look like Naomi's the bad guy, being like, why are you dating her then? I feel like she's more like, what would I say to that? If someone told me that, I feel like I would be kind of confused too. Where do I go from there? She comes home and you tune around and you watch ESPN. You don't even, I don't know, being with her. I feel like at some point in that conversation, I would say, well, why are you with her then? Like, what are you doing here? And so he says, well, that's my girl. Then they walk over to the bar. And Naomi, I mean, she's now taking it a little too far, but she's like, you don't need to be with someone like that. You don't need to be with a narcissist like that. And he says, I'm the person here put on this earth that can break her of that shit. That's some. Yeah. Okay. She goes, that's like some savior complex thing you've got going on. That's not a thing. He goes, we'll see. And then he goes over to Catherine. And the first thing out of his mouth is I think he says Naomi is a fucking cunt. I think that's what he says. She was trying to manipulate me in our conversation. What? Actually, that is, wow, not true at all. So you've just said this to Naomi and you're going over to Catherine to stir up this drama. Are you doing this for camera time? You are a snake and I knew it. I told you so. I told you. So while he's telling Catherine that, Naomi tells Leva. And here's my other problem with Leva. Once again, all Leva does is listen. Is this all she's going to do? This is all she's done this whole season. She listens to Naomi tell a story. She listens to Vanita tell a story. She did a really bad job of trying to mediate Catherine and Naomi, and that led to Catherine exploding. But then she didn't know how to moderate it. Then she did that really bad job of being like, let's fix it, guys. Let's fix it. I still don't know anything about her. I don't see her businesses. How is she getting a spinoff? I'm really annoyed. You don't get to be a full-time cast member and not show your life. It's her second season. Her first season, she did, she took charge and did all the racial social justice movement that no one else wanted to touch. And that was a lot. And we loved her for it. And that's amazing. But now we need to see her. You can't benefit and get all these perks that come with reality TV and not get dirty. That's what pissed me off about Lala. But Lala still gave us a lot of drama. Leva's giving me, she's just, all she does is kind of do that mom, matronly listen and be like, oh boy, I know. I love Leva. Leva, well, maybe that's why she did it. Because she's gone out of her way to reach out to accounts. She follows me and engage with accounts and be, very active in the social media world. And anyone who does love her, she's very appreciative of. But from a viewer standpoint, I'm like, who are you? I don't know anything about you. I don't get to meet your husband. That's bullshit. I had that same problem with Cam. I was like, Cam, you don't get to be on this show and not show anything. It's not fair. And honestly, I kind of thought Jason, when she was pregnant, was a total dick. She kept being like, well, Jason's a doctor and sees this all the time. So he's like, get over it. You're having cramps. I'm like, oh, but that's also your support system. He sounded like a jerk. So I don't know. We'll take this conversation to the Facebook group. If you live in Charleston or you've heard anything, if you're not already in the Facebook group, the link is in the description, and let's chat over there. Because I don't want to. I like Leva, but I'm also. Let's put it this way, guys. The people you least suspect can also be, not who they appear to be. And even though we want someone to be something, we got to go off facts. And from a cast member standpoint, viewer standpoint, she's not providing a storyline. How did she get a spinoff? Very upset. And again, I know a lot. I wish I could say I would do a Q&A where I could be like, yes or no, but that's risky. And I don't want to blow up my spot. I cannot thank my sources and the people that trust me enough for thinking that I'm, worthy of the information. So I will never, ever blow up my spot. Okay. Well, that wraps up this episode of Southern Charm. How are you guys liking this season? Curious. I'm interested. Leave me a comment if you're watching this on the YouTubes. If you are listening to this on a podcast, like I said, let's talk in this Facebook group. We've got things to talk about. It's not safe for the gram or TikTok. It gets too wild. Let's take it to a safe place. But I will see you guys next time. Please leave a nice review, a nice 5-star review, if you wouldn't mind. That would be lovely. And till next time, bye.